Hi, this is my project showcase for my Vision Tech project. For this project I made an electric powered longboard, and this is the version 1. So if you are going to be using this as a tutorial to make one, I would not do that until I make version 2. My name is Seth Peterson and this is for Vision Tech. Let's get started. So for my 4-week plan, I decided to complete ordering parts and buying hardware on week 1. Then on week 2 I would fix my GoPro, and that would be for my documentation of riding the longboard. I got that done. And then I would start building and document it. And then on week 3 I would finish building, documentation, and test run of the board. And on week 4 I would finish building, documentation, and edit the how-to video. And then upon completion I would make a presentation and a how-to video. And this is kind of my how-to video, but I'm not done yet. But hopefully, I will get done. But within about 2 weeks I'll post version 2, and that'll have my full video done. So for this project I found an Instructable online. It was very nice. It was from a student overseas in Europe. He made it. So if you see in the bottom corner, you can see click here for Instructable. I'll make an annotation so you can click it and it'll bring you there, and I'll also make a link in the description of the video here. So let's get on to the next slide. So over the course of the projects I had quite a few setbacks. One of those was poor quality parts. As you can see in the picture, one of those shell casings broke off, so I had to have that. I sent it back and got a new one after some hassling of the company. And a lot of these parts I got them overseas, so the shipping times and everything, it just took a long time to get here. That was another setback. So as you can see there, that is my motor. So as I was soldering on some connectors to this motor, we had to grind down some of the solder to make it fit, and that motor there is magnetic actually, and it collected the magnetic shavings of the metal, and it scratched it up, so I had to take some time cleaning that. That was another setback. As you can see in this picture, you can see some of the grit along there. So here's the part list. First of all, you have to have a longboard deck. I had a pintail. It was an Arbor Timeless, I think. I'll link that as well. And then it's very important that you order the specific trucks and these wheels that I've linked, because they will only work with the plans that I have. And one of the good characteristics of this wheel is that it has holes in it, and we're going to utilize that by putting some bolts through it, and that'll help us assemble the whole thing. You'll see later on. And then we have a Turnigy Aerodrive SK3 280k voltage Outrunner. That's the motor. Then we have two lithium batteries. And then for the charger, I got a Hobby King EC06 50 watt 5 amp charger. I'll link that as well. And then we also need a transmitter and receiver to tell the speed controller what voltage to put out to the motor. So that's there. Then we have a large gear, a small gear, and a belt. So there is 3 custom parts that you have to make yourself. You can either buy washers and then drill them out yourself, But what I actually did was I had a CNC machinist drill these out from scratch pretty much. And you can easily do this yourself, but these are made of aluminum, so that's part of the reason I wanted a CNC machinist to do it. So for the smaller washer, the diameter is actually 2.25 inches, and then the larger is 2.5 inches. And then for the bracket, you can see in the picture, I had to have a machinist do that out. You could probably easily do that if you had the resources available. And that was another setback, was I was getting this service done for free, so the guy was in no rush to get it completed, and it took a long time to get it done. So there's the 2.25 inch washer, and you can click on the link for the CAD file download. Then there's the same for the 2.5 inch washer. Here's the aluminum bracket. You can click there for the CAD file link. Now onto assembling the wheel. For this section, you'll need 1 flywheel, 6 1/4 inch by 2.5 inch bolts, 6 1/4 inch nuts to go along with those bolts, the custom 2.25 inch washer, the custom 2.5 inch washer, and a modified large gear. And for that large gear, what you're going to have to do is put the 2.5 inch washer over it, mark out the holes, because the design of the holes in the cutout is exactly the same. So what I had to do was just drill it out with a drill press. So here's assembling the wheel. First, you want to attach the 2.5 inch, that is the 2.5 inch washer attached to the cogwheel. Then you want to thread the 2.5 inch bolts in through there. And then what you want to do from there is thread it through the holes in the flywheel, and you can see they'll get through. And then you want to put the 2.25 inch washer on the other side of the bolts, and then secure the nuts on that way. So now you want to weld the bracket. So what you want to do is get a rough sketch pretty much, and you want to figure out the best angle to weld this thing on. So when you're riding a skateboard, you have the tilt of the board. So you don't want the bracket to rub against the bottom of the board. So what we did was we found out the best angle pretty much to weld it on, where it wasn't going to touch the bottom of the board. And that's also unsafe, because that'll lock up your wheels pretty much and send you flying. And you don't want that when you're going 20 miles an hour. So then I had my brother weld it on. So now attaching the motor to the bracket. You want 4 DeWalt P2 screws and 4 snap rings to go along with that, and you'll need the motor. So here it is. The pictures pretty much explain itself, but get it pretty good tight on there. Now assembling the wheel, motor, and belt. So you'll need the assembled wheel, which we made earlier, the belt, the small gear, as you can see, and you'll need you'll need two 440 set screws. And then you'll need the board with the welded on bracket. So here it is. What you want to do, the main thing is you want to put the belt on the assembled wheel first. The cogwheel goes on first, the cogwheel side, and then you want to secure the wheel onto the truck. And then from there you want to slide the belt onto the small pulley, and then you want to kind of maneuver the small pulley onto onto the motor shaft. That's the easiest way I've found to make that work. And then from there, you want to use the set screws to secure the small pulley onto the motor shaft. And right now I do not have the set screws. I'm still waiting on those. So on to the next one. Here's the electrical side of things. I don't have this done, but I do know how I'm going to set it up and where. And to mount the components onto the deck of the board, I'm going to use some strong Velcro and put that on the bottom of the board. And then I'll also need to make a cover to protect the components from debris and such as I'm riding. So there's a diagram. I can link that, and you can have a download link to that, but it's also in the Instructable if you want it. So here is connecting the motor to the EC5 connectors. Those are the blue connectors, and I'll get onto that later. And then you connect that to the ESC, and the ESC is the speed controller. That regulates the voltage going from the batteries to the motor, and that is controlled with a transmitter. I do not have that either yet. Here's the connectors to the ESC, as you can see. So the orange cable goes on the far left, yellow is in the middle, and blue is on the far right. Here is the ESC to the tri-connector to the batteries. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory, as you can tell. But I actually did not use the wiring guide that they had in the Instructable. I went to a hobby shop and they recommended that tri-connector. I'm not quite sure where you get that. They ordered it themselves and sold it to me. But here is the tri-connector to the batteries and the tri-connector to the ESC. Well, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please subscribe so you can watch version 2. And as I said earlier, I would not use version 2 or use this version of the video as a guide because it's very rough and I don't have quite everything figured out. There's still some bumps to work out. Well, please subscribe if you want to. Click that big red subscribe button. Thanks.